Archer's up.
Left.
Move.
1.5.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Panda, your autistic archer, bringing some fun for the beginning archer. Now, I was diagnosed with autism as an adult in 2020, right when most people were worried about, being diagnosed with the Rona, the plague. I had suspected I was on the spectrum for many years before that. An inability to stand being around people. I liked to read sci-fi and fantasy. I was overly logical with no emotional intelligence to speak of.
Just because you've got the emotional range of a teaspoon.
A difficulty understanding verbal or written communication. I would rather be alone playing video games than socializing with, or having many, friends. I thought I was just a gross introvert, who somehow started being extroverted as a pub quiz host and now a YouTuber. Funny old life, isn't it? But when I got that diagnosis, I felt free, seen, understood, and it got me to allow myself to pursue some fascinations that I'd hidden all those years. One of those is archery. Now, archery is a popular sport, albeit a bit of a niche one. There are different types of archery these days, including compound, Olympic, traditional, Asiatic with horse bows, and more that I probably am forgetting at this moment. Because of its association with medieval fantasy settings, typically with dragons, maybe in a dungeon or something like that, coupled with a perceived low level of intense physical activity, it can have a strong appeal to those with autism, such as myself. I'll post some links to a couple videos and articles in the description of this video here that link archery with autism and how it can really help. But let's give it our own spin. An issue I find, though, is there doesn't seem to be a lot of videos for people like me on YouTube. I mean, there's Blumenek with his fantasy archery commentary, and I love his videos greatly.
Big fan of yours. Big fan.
But there's not a lot of content of getting better from someone I can really engage in. That's why I started these videos. So why is archery such a great sport or even hobby for people with autism like myself? Well, for starters, it's a concentration exercise. We focus on one task, shot after shot. Now, we're cognizant of every aspect all at once. It can be a little overwhelming at first, but walk through it. Break it down step by step and focus on it. Another big draw is that it's relaxing. There has been some conjecture and a few studies that suggest that focusing on archery can be almost like a meditative experience. There would be times I would go out to the local archery course after a stressful day of work. I'd be muttering and grumbling and cursing as I pulled up, as I set up my bow, and whilst walking to the first target. Then the arrow's on the string, and I'm calm. I'm focused. I'm distracted. All the smeg that happened at work is gone. It's just me, the bow, the arrow, and the target. Now, yes, missing sucks, and we can really beat ourselves up over it. But if we let our minds focus on each shot as its own thing, we can find an outlet to relieve stress and maybe actually unwind. Another draw is that it's reliably repetitive. There's a comfort in the process. You have the steps, you have the rules, and again, it's shot after shot after shot. I mean, the worst part of shooting my bow at a target in the backyard or down the range is taking a break to go get the arrows. It breaks the flow, which is, well, it's part of the game. But if my shots aren't consistent, then that walk from the shooting line to the target, that lets my pattern recognition kick in, and I try to figure out what I did differently for that specific shot so I can figure out how to make it work. So you see there, it's also pattern recognition and problem solving in the moment. This is something I know a lot of us are all too aware of. Pattern recognition, cause and effect, things of that nature. What happened? What was different? Why did it do that? Well, it was because of this time. Did I follow that step that time? What can I do to fix it? Which brings me to, it puts you in control. Almost everything I do as an archer is on me. My stance is under my control, my aim is under my control, my release is under my control. My biggest fear and anxiety trigger outside of social interaction is being out of control of my own autonomy. It's the second most common nightmare I have after the recurring appearances by the ghost of John. I know, I'm in my late 30s and still haunted by a sodding children's story. But archery is something in which I have almost complete self control, full agency. And that is so fulfilling to me. Sure, the random can happen, like my bow or string breaks, oh, Lord forbid, or it can be windy or rainy or hail in the middle of summer, as seen here. But for the most part, it comes down to my mistakes and my fixes. If I break an arrow from a miss or lose an arrow in the woods, it's because of something I did, and it's something I can control in my next shots. It's something I can learn from. Finally, possibly best of all, it's immediate satisfaction made manifest. There's nothing better than hitting dead center. It's immediate positive feedback. It's fulfilling.
Geez, that felt good!
Whether it's the autism or depression causing it, I don't typically get that rush of endorphins from completing a task or accomplishing something. I was always taught, it's not an accomplishment, it's simply doing what's expected of you. But when I get that 10 ring, whenever I hit that target dead center, it's nice to know I can still feel the happiness at a good shot. And you know what? I even celebrate the really fun misses, like breaking an arrow mid-flight and still hitting the target with both pieces. Or like splitting a skinny tree with my arrow. Twice. Or like shooting the supports on a single target. Twice. Or shooting through my own arrow and shooting at a milk jug. I mean, it's not necessarily a Robin Hood, but RIP arrow. Or even skipping the arrow off of the top of the target, off of a busted phone on a bag of wood chips, and into your wife's astronomy building. Sorry, honey. Yeah, missing sucks. I get it. But sometimes you miss so spectacularly that that's worth celebrating too. Now, it's not all fun and games. There are some serious hurdles to archery. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's hard. It can be really, really hard.
It's sexy, but it's hard!
It's pushing, it's pulling, it's tensing, relaxing, and engaging different muscle groups that most people don't even realize can work together. Your body has to learn how to make those motions smoothly and consistently. And it takes a good deal of practice and exercise to be able to do that regularly. We see elves and comic heroes pulling back on a bowstring so effortlessly, and then we get out there and we have trouble pulling back an actual bow. There's a lot more physicality to it. There's also a mental challenge to it, and not just focusing on the shot. Not every shot is going to hit the target. Not every shot's going to hit the paper, and some shots might not hit at all. It can get discouraging, especially if your personality is something that takes to things so easily, that can learn how to do a Rubik's Cube in the span of a weekend. I mean, that's not me. I still can't understand those things. But it's very important to take any miss and learn what we did to make it miss so we can address it and change. Now, it's even harder, unfortunately, to learn fast. I've been shooting my bow casually for about 4 years now, and I'm going to be the first to admit I'm still a novice. I can only really practice maybe 8 months out of the year here in the high desert. December gets cold quickly and stays cold until spring finally comes around, and then it just gets super hot just as quickly. And it's hard to get back at it after my bows hibernate for the winter. And you all have these people out there that make it look so easy. Look, I wish I could shoot an apple out of the air like Blumenek does, or any of those trick shots, honestly. I wish I could pull back a 60-pound bow like some of these longtime hunters and archers can. I wish I could consistently hit a 1-inch target like people like Freedom and Feathers. But I can't. And I won't ever be able to unless I don't give up. All right? If there's anything you take from this, it's don't give up. Missing the target is not a failure. The only time you fail is when you give up. So why do I keep at it? Why do I not give up? Because it's worth it. I've gotten stronger, my aim's gotten better, even though I still miss and miss bad, and it's helped bridge some generational gaps in my family. Sometimes it's all about hunting down those glimmers, those little positive triggers that bring a positive emotional response. And my friends, it's always open season for those when it comes to archery. So if you're a bit of the neurodivergent slant and want to learn how to do some of the things your level 6 half-elf ranger can do, or see what it's like to sling arrows like a veil jumper, I highly recommend and encourage giving archery a try. Now I'm just getting started here and still learning how to be better myself, but feel free to leave a comment about questions, topics you want to see, and even critiques as we go on this journey together. And keep watching here for more about archery from me, your autistic archer, and as always, may Uller guide your arrows.